Good morning. This is Mike Houston with your Southeast Idaho weather hazard briefing for Wednesday. Looking at our weather impact summaries, we do see a storm system approaching the northwest coast this morning, and that'll push through the region tonight and Thursday. This will result in light to moderate snow across a portion of the region. A weak storm system sweeps through the area on Saturday morning, and this will result in some light snow primarily across the central mountains and northeast highlands. The pattern gets much more active with a series of storms sweeping through the region beginning Sunday and continuing through next week. Looking at our current satellite imagery this morning, we see a low-pressure system approaching Vancouver Island this morning. And further upstream, we just catch a glimpse of some additional activity working into the northeast Pacific. Looking at our weather impact matrices for this morning, with that storm system approaching Vancouver Island, we will see some moisture beginning to spread into the region this afternoon. So we have a chance, or a good chance, of snow up into the central mountains this afternoon. Snow increasing across the region tonight with some minimal impacts into the northeast highlands and the Wood River and Sawtooth region. After that storm exits the region, we'll be left with some low-level moisture and fog here Friday, primarily Friday morning. Saturday, as I mentioned, we have a weak system sweeping through the region during the morning hours. That'll provide some light snow, maybe down here in the Snake River Plain, but certainly up into the central mountains. And then on Sunday, as I mentioned, the storm pattern gets much more active. We're expecting fairly decent storm systems pushing into the area. Warmer temperatures certainly down here in the valley, so we'll see a mix of rain and snow. But in the mountains, it should be snow, and we're calling for possibly some moderate impacts up into the central mountains and eastern highlands. Looking at the storm track this morning, we see that low-pressure system that I showed you in satellite imagery here a minute ago approaching Vancouver Island with a moist westerly flow beginning to arc into Oregon. We do have some clouds working over the top of this ridge and spilling into the region this morning, but as that storm system gets closer to the coast, we'll see some of this moisture now working into the central mountains. Daytime highs today still remaining somewhat cool both today and tomorrow, with highs generally in the upper teens and lower 20s here in the Snake River Plain, approaching 30 degrees down here in the eastern Magic Valley, and remaining in the 20s in the central and southeast mountains. As I mentioned, that storm system begins to push inland tonight, and we begin to see the beginnings of a split ongoing. So the main low up here into Seattle area, with the southern extent of the trough now beginning to dig fairly sharply into northern California. But around midnight tonight, this is the prime time for us to receive moisture as that arcs around the southern extent of this developing split and right into the central mountains and portions of the eastern Magic Valley. So this will be about the time frame when we're expecting our best snow accumulations. And here we are looking at the precipitation for the entire night for Wednesday. So it does highlight the fact that best precipitation totals are over into western Idaho and to a lesser extent into the interior and eastern portions of southeast Idaho. As we advance into the noontime hour on Thursday, we really see that pronounced split ongoing now. The northern portion of the trough now beginning to migrate through southeast Idaho, while the southern part digs very sharply south through Las Vegas and the lower Colorado, taking most of the moisture with it. Here we are looking at a depiction of the precipitation from Thursday morning through Thursday afternoon, and really leaving very little precipitation across the southeast highlands and central mountains. For the most part, light snowfall. Okay, the storm total for this entire system. We are looking at sub-advisory accumulations across the entire area, less than an inch here in the Snake River Plain. We might see maybe 1 to 2 inches of accumulation, primarily Rexburg northward here in the valley, but you get up into the mountains in Island Park and extending down towards Pine Creek Pass, and we may see somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 6 inches in some of the higher terrain. Similar amounts here in the Sawtooths, 2 to 6 inches right up along the spine of the Sawtooth region. You get down into this Stanley Basin, and it might be 1 to 3 inches there, and to a lesser extent snowfall down into Wood River Basin, maybe 1 to 2 inches. As that storm system sweeping through Oregon, we could see a impulse of snow, maybe 1 to 2 inches in the Burley area overnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, which might cause some slippery road conditions here on Thursday morning for the morning commute. We'll keep an eye on that. And then, of course, across the south central highlands, accumulations in that 2 to 6 inch range above 6,500 feet. Advancing with our forecast maps to Friday afternoon, we see a ridge now developing across the region in the wake of that exiting storm system. And really all this will do is support drier conditions aloft, but trapping some moisture down here in the Snake Plain and eastern Magic Valley. So we'll probably see some low clouds and fog continuing through a good portion of the day on Friday. If you look upstream here in the Pacific, you do see the next storm system that will be impacting the region on Saturday. And here it is sweeping through the region Saturday morning. Bring us some light snowfall across the region, as I promised. Not much going on, most of it in the central and eastern mountains. And then as we advance to Sunday, you can see a much more consolidated westerly flow impinging on the northwest states. That'll bring quite a bit of moisture into the region. This pattern isn't going to change through next week, so we are expecting a series of storm systems to sweep through the region. With that increased storminess, we do expect warmer temperatures. So here you are looking at highs on Sunday in near 40 at Burley, certainly into the 30s here in the Snake River Plain. So any precipitation that comes through the region, at least during the day, would be a mix of rain and snow. The mountains may remain somewhat cooler. Some of the valley locations getting up into the mid-30s, so they may see a mix of rain and snow as well, but most of the mountains here staying cold enough to support snow. Okay, to recap, we do have a storm approaching the northwest coast this morning. It'll push inland tonight, bringing light to moderate snow to southeast Idaho overnight tonight and Thursday morning. We do have a second weak system pushing through the region on Saturday. That'll bring some light snow to the central and eastern mountains. And then the pattern gets much more active with a series of storms sweeping through the region beginning Sunday and continuing through next week. That's all I had for you here this morning. If you had any comments or questions, please give us a call here at the number on the screen. Thank you.